So welcome, Etan. Thank you for coming onto the show. So glad we could make this work. Tell us what you're working on and about this video that your president of NIAC just put out.
Thank you so much, Katie. Yes, I'm really happy to be here and happy to talk about some of my work at the organizing department for NIAC, for the National Iranian American Council. We are the largest and the oldest Iranian American grassroots organization out there, and really the only voice trying to amplify the very basic argument against preventable war with Iran and in support of negotiations that would relieve sanctions, put the nuclear program in a box, and solve just a really difficult problem that is affecting so many people. And I'm based out of New York. We have a chapter in New York. We have chapters all across the country of engaged Iranian Americans. Iranian Americans are really engaged, informed diaspora. And, Schumer is one of, just for a little background, he's among the few Dems who voted against Obama's nuclear deal in 2015. He then flipped and said he didn't want it torn up under Trump. And now he's flipping back again against diplomacy, trying to sabotage talks with BS talking points, pushing for war with Iran. And these negotiations, they're crucial. They will very likely determine, the difference between a negotiated agreement and a Israeli-led, U.S.-backed war with Iran. And Iran is a much more formidable, opponent than previous endless wars that the United States has waged in the Middle East. And, really Schumer, what he's doing is just a really lazy partisan attack that is reducing the lives of Iranians and Americans who are stationed in the region who would die for a punchline for that really only resonates with centrist Democrat Washington elites. Yeah,
let's show the video so people know, because not everyone may know about this zinger of a video.
Axios reported on the proposal that the United States presented Iran in negotiations to curb its nuclear program and prevent a war. Now, unsurprisingly, the hawks who do not want an agreement and instead want the U.S. to back Israeli military strikes on Iran attacked the proposal. But do you know who was the loudest voice opposing it? It wasn't the war hawks and neoconservatives who have most vocally called for war with Iran, like Tom Cotton or Lindsey Graham. No, it was Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer.
Witkoff and Rubio are negotiating a secret side deal with Iran. What kind of bull is this?
Notably, Schumer is not just rehashing the opposition to any deal with Iran that Republicans led 10 years ago against Obama's deal. Schumer is literally repeating the same conspiracy-driven talking points that they leveled 10 years ago, claiming that there is a secret side deal.
These secret side deals we don't have.
Secret side deal with the Iranians.
What I'm scared to death of is we get down the road, somebody opens a closet, and out falls the language of a secret agreement and say, ha!
They're going to sound tough in public and then have a side deal that lets Iran get away with everything? That's outrageous.
Look, there is no secret side deal. The fact is, in reflexively opposing diplomacy and peddling these conspiracies, Schumer is taking peace off the table and pushing for the alternative, war with Iran. The question for Schumer is there any realistic deal that he would support? Does he want another war in the Middle East? Now, I'm afraid we won't like the answers, which is why we need other Democrats to step up. There are plenty of bad and dangerous things to stand up and oppose Trump on. But preventing a war with Iran is not one of them. Schumer here is not fighting Trump's bad policies. He's not calling out real corruption or actual side deals. He is just pushing the AIPAC Netanyahu agenda of sabotaging diplomacy and paving the way to war. Even as new polling shows that overwhelming majorities of Democrats, Republicans, and independents support a deal with Iran and oppose war. So if Democrats ever want to return to power, sabotaging diplomacy, parroting AIPAC and the neocons, and marching into a war with Iran is not just immoral, it's bad politics. Let's hope that others do not follow in Chuck Schumer's footsteps, but instead speak out in support of peace and a diplomatic solution, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican in the White House.
Very well said. What would you like to add to that video? I mean, where to start really, but this is one of those examples where, Democrats are just as bad as Republicans.
Yeah, and frankly, in some ways, Democrats in this case are worse. And we are really trying to sound the alarm on this. From Schumer, he really should. If I could add anything, is that he should retract these comments, attacking and mischaracterizing very important ongoing negotiations that have implications for millions of people.
I'm sure he'll do that.
I mean, right. We still need to ask for us. I still,
yeah,
the biggest threat.
We're doing this officially. You're on notice, Chuck Schumer. We are officially asking you to do the right thing and retract this shameful, reactionary example of groveling for, I would say, hawkish votes.
Yeah, and Jeffries
you can say it better than I do.
Yeah, and Representative Jeffries, back in February, said that Iran was weak and that the U.S. can't take its foot off the gas until Iran is brought to its knees using all available mechanisms. And meanwhile, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, Thomas Massie, Ro Khanna, other progressives, Ed Markey, a lot of folks have really well-developed positions on Iran, and Schumer is just refusing to hear him.
Where do you think this misguided, to be charitable, misguided or problematic position comes from for so many of these politicians?
I think it comes from this tired narrative that maximum pressure and the most hawkish, aggressive posture towards Iran bears fruit. And when you look at the facts of that posture, the same posture that we've held lockstep in place after Trump pulled out of the previous agreement and Biden largely continued max pressure policies, the situation for American national security and for ordinary Iranian people has gotten worse and worse. The regime the Iranian authorities have continued to sell oil, create black markets, consolidate power, advance their own agenda, regardless of these sanctions policies and of our approach. And I think it's past time that we try a new one that puts people first and recognize the threat of war, the real threat. Netanyahu has pressured Trump to bomb Iran 3 times. Thankfully he said no each time, but in April and again in the last 10 days. Yeah,
and it's really quite unsettling, especially because this is an issue that, like as happens in so many cases, it's hugely unpopular, his view, among voters and people. And in fact, there's a study that shows that 69% of all respondents and 78% of Democrats want a negotiated settlement with Iran. So it's pretty interesting that Chuck Schumer and others would take this position when it's not even politically smart to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a University of Maryland poll, that found 78% Democrats prefer a negotiated agreement to only 5% who prefer war. That also applied to Republicans and to the broad populace. 69% of Americans, 64% of Republicans prefer a negotiated deal. I don't understand why Democrats continue to refuse to position themselves as the party that is more against war than the Republicans. I mean, when you cede the ground of who is the pro-peace party, when you allow Trump to get up on stage and say, I am going to get the ceasefire, I am the pro-peace, I want to end the wars, you lose credibility.